So, there's this ancient feeling, isn't there? This deep-seated sense that we are fundamentally more than just the physical form we see in mirror, more than just flesh and bone. That there's a subtle, intelligent energy animating us, shaping not just our physical health, but our thoughts, our feelings, our very experience of reality.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a notion that resonates through almost every spiritual tradition across continents and millennia. It's quite striking, actually.
This universal idea of a vital life force,
Yeah.
right? An invisible current flowing through and sustaining us.
Exactly. Prana, chi, life energy, different names, same core concept.
And central to one of the oldest and, frankly, most detailed understandings of this energy originating in ancient India is the concept of chakras.
The chakras.
These 7 invisible energy centers have been revered and studied for, well, thousands of years. But as the stack of sources you've shared makes incredibly clear, their original conception was far from the simplified, almost decorative symbols we sometimes see today.
Oh, absolutely. Very far from it.
Our sources present them as real, dynamic, energetic forces, powerful vortices within us, not just pretty pictures.
Precisely. If your exposure to chakras has primarily been through, say, colorful diagrams in yoga studios or maybe on wellness products, you're really only scratching the surface.
Right.
The source material reveals a much deeper, more complex, and honestly, utterly transformative system.
Totally. Our sources frame the chakra system not merely as a map of energy points, but as a sacred blueprint of the soul itself. It's really quite profound.
A blueprint of the soul. I like that framing.
It's a guide, not just to healing physical or emotional ailments, but to understanding the root causes of our deepest struggles, the nature of our desires, the unfolding of our life's purpose, and most profoundly, the ancient path to awakening.
Yes. It's depicted not as a simple wellness modality, which is often how it's presented now, but as a deep initiatory science designed for profound inner transformation.
Initiatory science. That's a powerful term.
It really is.
So our mission in this deep dive, guided strictly by the material you've provided, is to journey into this ancient blueprint.
Let's do it.
We're going to move beyond the simplified modern interpretations and try to rediscover the true nature of the chakras, exploring where this concept first emerged, what their original powerful role was, how they function as real dynamic energy centers, and what do I truly mean, according to these sources, to unlock their potential. Consider this your rigorous shortcut to being genuinely well-informed on a topic that, well, holds keys to understanding the human energetic and spiritual experience.
It's a complex topic, so a deep dive is definitely warranted. Let's begin to unpack this ancient wisdom.
Okay, let's truly unpack this so that the very word itself, chakra, tells us something fundamental about the concept's origin. It comes from Sanskrit, correct?
Yeah.
It means
Chakra is a Sanskrit word, and it literally translates to wheel or disc.
wheel or disc.
Yeah, and this seemingly simple translation holds significant meaning when you look at the original Vedic texts of India, some of which are incredibly ancient, dating back over 3,000 years.
3,000 years, that's staggering.
It really is. These texts describe chakras not as static points, but as spinning vortices of energy. Imagine dynamic, rotating centers of force within you.
Spinning vortices. That's
Yeah.
much more active imagery than just points on a line, isn't it?
Absolutely. It implies dynamism, movement, energy transformation.
And these spinning centers, in the ancient view, weren't confined to just governing the physical body, were they? It was broader than that.
Not at all. The depth of the text reveals they govern body, mind, and spirit. They are understood as the sophisticated regulatory centers for our fundamental life force.
That life force you mentioned earlier, prana or ki,
Exactly. This force has different names across various traditions. Yogis call it prana, while in Chinese tradition, it's known as qi or qi. Chakras are essentially the vital hubs, the power distribution centers through which this universal life energy flows, is filtered, and is directed throughout our entire being, influencing every aspect of our existence.
Okay, so if prana, or ki, is the animating current of life, the chakras are the crucial stations along that current, receiving and broadcasting energy, like transformers on the power grid almost.
That's a decent analogy, yeah. They modulate and distribute the energy. And where exactly are these major centers situated within us according to these traditions?
Right, the sources go into detail here.
According to the core yogic and tantric philosophies described in the sources, the 7 major chakras are specifically aligned along the body's central energetic channel. This channel is known as the Sushumna Nadi.
Sushumna Nadi.
You can visualize it as the primary energetic highway running vertically from the very base of the spine all the way up through the torso and head to the ground.
So like an energetic spinal cord.
In a sense, yes. The 7 chakras are positioned sequentially along this core spiritual spine.
A spiritual spine. That term itself hints at a different dimension of understanding, doesn't it?
It really does.
And each one of these 7 centers is described as being intrinsically linked to a specific fundamental aspect of the human experience. Like each one has its own domain.
It is an absolutely crucial detail emphasized throughout the source material, yes. As the texts detail, there is one center deeply connected to survival and physical reality.
The base, presumably.
Yes, the root. Then another related to creativity, pleasure, and emotional flow. A third to personal power and will. A fourth to love and connection.
The heart center.
Then a fifth to communication and truth. A sixth to intuition and inner vision. And finally, the 7th linking us to divine consciousness and transcendence.
Wow.
It forms a comprehensive map of the entire spectrum of human existence, energetically laid out within us.
It's incredibly structured. But here's where the sources offer a truly fascinating perspective, moving beyond just a single cultural context. They point out the remarkable fact that while this detailed system of 7 chakras is codified in the Vedic tradition, striking parallels exist in various spiritual traditions across the globe.
Exactly. This isn't just an Indian concept.
Right. It seems to pop up elsewhere.
It's a point the sources highlight with significant emphasis because it lends profound weight to the idea. You discover systems with remarkable similarities in Taoist meridian and energy gate systems.
Okay.
The Kabbalistic tree of life within Jewish mysticism, which maps aspects of divinity and human consciousness onto a diagram.
Right. The tree of life, I've heard of that connection.
The Sufi Latif, which are subtle energy centers worked with in devotional practice, and even within certain esoteric schools of Christian mysticism.
Christian mysticism, too. How so?
Well, there are references to sacred centers or spiritual stations in the body that are linked to specific virtues, states of grace, or stages on the path of divine ascent. The language is different, but the underlying idea of energetic or spiritual centers in the body seems present.
So while the terminology, the specific number, or the practices might differ, the underlying principle of distinct energy or spiritual centers within the body, often arranged vertically and forming a path towards higher consciousness or union with the divine. That fundamental pattern seems to echo universally.
That is precisely the powerful implication the source material draws. These aren't necessarily seen as ideas borrowed from one culture to another.
Right, not just cultural diffusion.
Instead, the sources suggest they could represent independent discoveries stemming from direct inner perception, or perhaps even more profoundly, point to a universal spiritual or energetic map that is somehow intrinsically embedded within the very structure of human consciousness itself.
Wow.
A part of our inherent design regardless of our cultural background.
That implication is truly profound. It suggests that the chakra system might not just be a map of inner reality, but potentially the map, just described in different languages by different wisdom traditions who accessed similar truths through their own inner exploration.
It certainly challenges the idea that this is merely a localized cultural belief, doesn't it? It elevates it to something potentially universal.
Definitely. So understanding these deep origins and this cross-cultural resonance, let's turn to the original purpose of focusing on chakras. As our sources repeatedly state, it was far from decorative or superficial.
Definitely not. The source material firmly establishes that in its ancient original context, this was a deep, rigorous, initiatory science.
Initiatory science.
Yes. It was developed and practiced by those who had dedicated their lives to profound spiritual transformation, not for, casual exploration or simple relaxation techniques you might see today.
So it involves stages, trials, a structured path towards a specific, very high goal.
Yes. Exactly. Each chakra was viewed as a gate of consciousness that the individual soul must consciously pass through and master on its journey towards enlightenment or liberation.
Like levels in a game, almost, but profoundly spiritual.
Kind of, yeah. Think of them as levels of mastery, each presenting unique challenges and lessons. The source gives very specific examples of this. For instance, the root chakra, Muladhara, presents fundamental trials related to survival instincts, confronting primal fears like fear of death, lack, or not belonging, really basic stuff.
The absolute foundations of existence. And the heart chakra, Anahata, what's the trial there?
The heart chakra presents the trial of unconditional love, learning to love oneself and others without attachment, expectation, or judgment, dissolving the illusion of separation. That's a huge one.
Huge. So each center is not just an energy hub. It's a crucible for forging a higher state of being.
Well put, a crucible. And the ultimate goal of this work wasn't just to feel balanced or a bit more relaxed, which, as we noted, is often how it's presented in simplified modern contexts. That's a side benefit, maybe.
But not the main event.
Not at all. The ultimate goal was vastly higher and more radical. It was about consciously transcending the limitations imposed by the lower, more survival-oriented, instinctual, or ego-driven aspects of the self.
Moving beyond the purely personal.
Yes, it was about purification, expansion of consciousness, and ultimately awakening the divine potential that lies dormant within.
So the journey is literally an energetic and conscious ascent from the primal instincts and need for security at the root to boundless, universal consciousness at the crown. A vertical journey.
Precisely. The sources lament that much of this profound, sacred, and intricate knowledge became fragmented and diluted over vast stretches of time and distance.
How'd that happen?
Well, particularly when the concept was first introduced to the West in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, it was often stripped of its deeper philosophical and initiatory context. Simplified for a different audience, perhaps.
And that fragmentation is what led to some of the surface-level understanding that is prevalent today, the colorful charts and quick fixes.
Exactly. The sources collectively pose this critical, almost challenging question to the modern practitioner. Will we perpetuate this fragmentation and treat chakras merely as spiritual decor, pleasant visual concepts, or superficial tools? Or will we endeavor to reclaim their true ancient purpose as powerful keys to inner liberation, using this blueprint for genuine transformation? It's a call to engage with the system on a much deeper level than just knowing the colors and locations.
That is a truly compelling challenge. Let's lean into that challenge and delve deeper into each of these 7 energy centers, viewing them as stations on this path, as these gates of consciousness. Our source material provides a detailed breakdown, right?
It does. It offers a comprehensive yet surprisingly accessible overview of the intricate energetic landscape within us, guiding us layer by layer. It's quite practical in its descriptions.
Okay, so starting at the very bottom, the absolute foundation of this energetic structure, the root chakra, Muladhara.
Muladhara, yes. Known as Muladhara in Sanskrit, this fundamental chakra is located at the very base of the spine, the perineum area.
Right at the base. Its associated color is red, symbolizing vitality and grounding, and its element is earth. That seems very fitting.
Extremely fitting. Its core function, as the sources emphasize, is about foundation, survival, stability, and belonging. It's our most fundamental energetic connection to the physical world, to the earth, and to our physical body itself.
Our roots.
Exactly. It governs our sense of safety and security in life. The affirmation or seed mantra associated with it, often chanted to resonate with its energy, is Lam. We'll talk more about those seed sounds later, but Lam is the one for the root.
Lamb. Okay.
Yeah.
And the core feeling here is I am safe, or I belong, that fundamental sense of okayness.
Yes. So when this root chakra is balanced and flowing, you experience a deep sense of being grounded, secure, stable, feeling like you belong right where you are. There's a basic trust.
All right. You feel solid.
Yes, there's a fundamental trust in life and your ability to meet your basic needs. But when the sources describe it as blocked or imbalanced, you might experience persistent fear, chronic anxiety, maybe worry about material or financial instability, or a profound feeling of disconnection from your physical self or the world around you.
Like feeling ungrounded, flighty, insecure.
Precisely. It's the energy center dealing with your most primal needs for existence. So imbalances here feel very fundamental.
Okay. Moving up just slightly, about 2 inches below the navel, is the sacral chakra, Svadhisthana.
Svadhisthana, correct. Its vibrant color is orange, and its element is water. Its seed mantra is Vam.
Vam. Okay. Water element, I feel, is the core statement here.
Yes, I feel.
That immediately suggests flow, fluidity, emotions, perhaps pleasure.
Exactly right. Its core function is deeply connected to pleasure, sensuality, creativity, and emotional flow. It governs our capacity for healthy relationships, both intimate and platonic, our passion for life, and our connection to the creative currents within and around us.
So it's about enjoyment, connection, creation.
When this center is open and healthy, the sources describe experiencing joy, a natural emotional fluidity, being able to feel your feelings without getting stuck, and a capacity for intimacy.
And when it's blocked?
Conversely, when it's described as blocked or stagnant, it can manifest as emotional numbness, a sense of guilt around pleasure or sexuality, maybe a lack of creativity or feeling creatively blocked, or difficulty forming healthy, flowing relationships. The energy of life's vibrant experiences and connections moves through this center.
So blockages here could really dampen your experience of life's richness.
Definitely. It affects your ability to feel and flow.
Next, moving up into the upper abdomen is the powerful solar plexus chakra, Manipura.
Manipura. Located, as the name suggests, in the solar plexus region, sort of behind the stomach. Its intense color is yellow, its element is fire, and its seed mantra is Ram.
Ram, fire element. And then the core statement is I do.
I do, yes.
Okay, fire, I do.
This energetically screams power, action, personal will, self-definition, doesn't it? It absolutely is the body's primary power center. It's the seat of personal will, self-confidence, identity, and autonomy. This is where you digest not just food, but life experiences and forge your sense of purpose, agency, and self-worth in the world.
Digesting life experiences.
Ah.
That's an interesting way to put it.
Well, it's about processing things, taking them in and integrating them into your sense of self and your ability to act.
Makes sense. So balanced Manipura brings inner strength, resilience, and a clear sense of self. You know who you are and you can act from that place.
Exactly. An imbalanced or blocked solar plexus, according to the sources, frequently shows up as feelings of shame, perhaps explosive anger, a desperate need for control over yourself or others, or low self-esteem, difficulty asserting yourself.
It's really about your personal power and your ability to act in the world from a place of inner authority rather than fear or insecurity.
That sums it up perfectly.
Okay. Now, bridging the lower, more survival and ego-oriented centers with the higher, more spiritual ones sits the center everyone talks about.
Yeah.
The heart chakra.
Anahata, yes, the famous one, located right at the center of the chest.
Its serene color is green, like the natural world it connects to. Its element is air, and its seed mantra is Yam.
Yeah, that's right.
Green like healing in nature, air like breath and expansion, and the core statement is I love. This really feels like the great connector, the energetic bridge.
It is. The sources explicitly refer to it as the bridge. It connects the lower three chakras, dealing with the physical and personal identity, to the upper three, dealing with consciousness and spirit.
So it integrates the personal with the transpersonal.
In a way, yes. Its core function is profound. Love, compassion, empathy, forgiveness, and connection to all sentient beings. It's the energetic organ of unconditional love.
Unconditional love, that's
Yeah.
true.
When this center is open and radiating, the sources describe experiencing a boundless capacity to give and receive love unconditionally, experiencing deep connection, joy, and empathy.
And when it's blocked or constricted,
When it's blocked or constricted, the sources note experiences of unresolved grief, feelings of isolation, maybe holding on to resentment, bitterness, or having difficulty forgiving yourself and others. It really impacts your connection.
yeah, it's the center of connection to others and to the greater field of life through the energy of love.
Okay.
Blockages here would feel very isolating.
Very much so.
Moving up the spiritual spine, we arrive at the throat chakra, Vishuddha.
Vishuddha. Located, as its name implies, in the throat region. Its calming color is blue. Its element is ether or sound, sometimes called akasha.
Ether or sound. Interesting.
Yeah, the space through which vibration travels. And its seed mantra is Ham.
Ham. Okay. And the core statement here is I speak or I express.
I speak, yes.
Ether sound. This is fundamentally about communication, vibration, expression, finding your voice.
Precisely. Its core function is clear and authentic communication, speaking your truth and expressing your unique self. And this isn't just verbally,
Yeah.
Now else.
creatively, artistically, energetically. It governs your capacity to listen deeply and to be heard authentically. It's about all forms of expression coming from your truth.
So a healthy throat chakra allows for clear, honest, and resonant expression. You can say what you mean and mean what you say.
Exactly. And you feel heard. A blocked Vishuddha, the sources explain, can lead to a deep-seated fear of judgment when speaking up, maybe tendencies towards dishonesty or gossiping as a deflection, or simply repressing your true voice and authentic self-expression.
Which could lead to feeling unheard or invisible.
Yes, or even physical issues in the throat area, according to the sources. It's about the freedom and clarity of your authentic voice.
Makes sense. Almost at the peak now, situated between the eyebrows, is the renowned third eye chakra,
Ajna.
Ajna. Located centrally between the eyebrows, sometimes referred to as the brow chakra. Its deep, intuitive color is indigo, and its seed mantra is OM. Though OM is complex and sometimes associated with the crown too.
OM. Okay. The core statement resonating with the center is, I see.
I see. I see. This immediately hints at intuition, inner vision, insight, seeing beyond the obvious, right?
Exactly. This is considered the seat of intuition and inner wisdom. It allows you to gain insight, access inner knowing, perceive patterns and connections that aren't immediately visible.
Seeing the bigger picture.
Yes, seeing beyond surface appearances or illusion and accessing deeper spiritual truths. It's about perception beyond the five ordinary senses.
So a balanced and activated third eye is associated with sharpened perception, clear decision-making based on inner guidance, and heightened awareness. Trusting your gut.
Trusting that inner sight. An imbalanced ajna, according to the sources, can manifest as confusion, cynicism, difficulty focusing or concentrating, or even states of delusion, making it challenging to discern truth from illusion or trust your inner guidance.
So it could go either way, blocked and cynical, or overactive and detached from reality.
Potentially, yes. Balance is key. It's the energetic organ for accessing subtle realities and inner sight.
And finally, at the very apex, the gateway to the transcendent, the crown chakra, Sahasrara.
Sahasrara. Located at the very top of the head, the fontanelle area, where a baby's sock spot is. Its colors are described as luminous violet or pure white, symbolizing spirit and universality.
Violet or white, very ethereal.
Yes. Its seed mantra is also often given as OM, representing the universal sound, or sometimes simply a silence, the source of all sound. The core statement here is I am, or perhaps I understand, or I know.
I am. That feels very fundamental, very connected to pure being.
It is. This chakra is described as the center of pure consciousness, divine connection, and transcendence. It is the energetic doorway connecting you to your higher self, to the vastness of the cosmos, and to the divine source of everything that exists.
The connection point to the all.
Essentially, yes. It represents the culmination of the ascent through the lower centers.
When this center is described as open, the sources speak of experiences of bliss, unity consciousness, spiritual enlightenment, and profound peace. The peak experiences.
Yes, those states of cosmic connection. When it's blocked or closed, life can feel meaningless, isolating, or you might feel profoundly disconnected from any sense of purpose, spirituality, or something larger than your individual self. A kind of spiritual dryness or cynicism.
So it really is the ultimate gateway to non-dual awareness and universal consciousness.
That's how the source is presented.
That is an incredible layered map. 7 distinct centers, each governing such fundamental and increasingly subtle aspects of being human, building upon each other. It's quite elegant, really.
It is remarkably coherent.
But as the sources make clear, it's not static. It's not just about having these centers. It's fundamentally about how energy moves through them. The flow is key.
Absolutely. The source material consistently emphasizes that understanding the chakras deeply requires understanding the dynamics of energy flow within what's referred to as the subtle body, the energetic counterpart to our physical form.
The subtle body. This is the realm where prana, that life force, travels through those energetic channels you mentioned earlier, the nadis.
Yes. The yogic tradition describes prana flowing through a complex network of thousands of subtle channels called nadis. Think of them like an energetic circulatory system, carrying this vital force throughout the subtle body.
Thousands. Wow.
Yes, though usually 3 are considered primary.
And the Sushumna Nadi, that central channel running along the spine, is the main superhighway for this energy. That's the one the chakras are located on.
Correct. It's the primary channel, the central pillar. But crucially, the sources detail 2 other major nadis that weave around the Sushumna Nadi and through the chakras, Ida and Pingala.
Ida and Pingala, okay, what are their roles?
Ida, running to the left of the Sushumna, is associated with feminine, lunar energy, coolness, introspection, intuition, the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. Pingala, running to the right, is associated with masculine, solar energy, heat, action, logic, the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight.
So yin and yang energies essentially flowing alongside the central channel.
Exactly. And how do Ida and Pingala interact with the chakras and the Sushumna?
How do they weave together?
The sources describe them as weaving around each chakra in an alternating pattern, crossing over the Sushumna Nadi at each energy center, often visualized like a double helix, like the caduceus symbol.
Oh, okay. I could picture that.
This weaving symbolizes the dynamic interplay and balance required between these polar energies, the yin and yang within us. Ideally, prana flows smoothly and harmoniously through this entire network, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, integrated and regulated by the chakras.
And when that prana flow is smooth, balanced, and unobstructed, what does that feel like?
The sources consistently describe the experience as feeling vibrant, fully present, aligned, and energetic. Life feels rich, energy is readily available, and there's a natural sense of well-being, resilience, and flow.
Sounds ideal.
Hmm.
But speaking from the reality of modern life, smooth, unimpeded flow isn't always the default state, is it? I mean, for most of us.
Far from it. Unfortunately, no. The sources spend considerable time discussing what disrupts this flow, the causes of energetic blockages and imbalances.
Okay, let's get into that. What are these causes, according to the material? What creates the blockages?
The sources list several key factors, and they'll probably sound familiar. Unprocessed emotional trauma is high on the list. Experiences that cause deep emotional wounds get stuck in the energy system, like energetic scar tissue.
Makes sense.
Limiting beliefs we hold about ourselves, others, or the world, often formed in childhood, create energetic constriction. They literally limit the flow.
Like, I'm not good enough or the world isn't safe.
Exact, those kinds of core beliefs. Chronic stress, the pervasive state of modern life, constantly drains and disrupts energy flow, often overactivating Pingala. Repressed emotions that we push down rather than feel and process create significant energetic knots.
Guffing things down.
Yes, an unhealthy lifestyle lacking proper rest, nutrition, or movement also impacts the energy body directly. And sometimes, the sources note, these can be inherited energetic patterns or predispositions passed down through our family line. Ancestral stuff.
Wow, okay. So these aren't just psychological issues in this view. They are seen as manifesting as actual energetic congestion or stagnation in the subtle body.
Yes, the sources are quite clear on this. They're described as energetic knots, blockages, areas of congestion, or sometimes even leaks. While they are invisible to the physical eye or a standard medical scan, their effects are considered very real and tangible within the subtle body, impacting the flow of prana.
Can you give us some more specific examples from the source material of how these energetic knots might show up in relation to specific chakras?
Certainly. As we touched on earlier, a blockage in the root chakra stemming from early insecurity or trauma might manifest as a chronic, low-grade anxiety about survival, a constant worry about money, shelter, or safety, even if logically you know you're okay.
It's like the body remembers the threat energetically.
Precisely. A blockage in the solar plexus from experiencing shame or lack of control in childhood could show up as difficulty asserting yourself, a tendency to people pleasers, or conversely, an overcompensation leading to controlling or aggressive behavior to try and regain a sense of power.
Right, reacting to the old wound.
Mm-hmm. A blocked throat chakra could literally manifest as chronic throat issue soreness, losing your voice, or a persistent fear of public speaking, even among those who are normally confident, because the energetic channel for truth and expression is constricted by fear.
It makes intuitive sense, doesn't it?
Mm.
If the energy center related to security is blocked, you feel insecure energetically, which then translates into your thoughts, feelings, and maybe even your physical state.
Exactly. And the source stresses that this blocked or stagnant energy doesn't stay localized forever. It impacts the entire system. It influences your thoughts, shaping negative mental loops.
Ruminating.
Yes. It impacts your emotions, leading to chronic states like anxiety, depression, or anger. It affects your behavior.
Those cycles we get stuck in.
Exactly. And over time, the sources suggest that these unresolved energetic blockages can indeed manifest in the physical body as chronic illness or persistent physical discomfort in the region of the imbalanced chakra or along the related nadis.
So that chronic digestive issue might, in this system, be linked to a blocked solar plexus, or recurring headaches might relate to third eye imbalance. It's suggesting a direct energetic link.
The source suggests this connection is very real within this energetic framework. These are not just theoretical points. The state of the subtle body is seen as directly influencing the physical body. Mind-body connection, but energetically rooted.
But there's a crucial compassionate perspective offered on these blockages in the source material, right? They aren't presented as a punishment for doing something wrong or as a personal failing.
No, this is a key teaching and really important to grasp. The sources describe these energetic blockages and discomforts not as flaws or punishments, but as signals. They're messages from your deeper self, from your soul. Yes, indicating that something within you requires attention, compassion, conscious awareness, and ultimately release. They are guides pointing you towards areas needing healing and integration, not signs you're broken.
That's a profoundly different and much more empowering way of viewing internal discomfort or struggle. So, what are some of the overall signs that this energy system, perhaps multiple chakras, might be imbalanced or blocked? What should you look out for?
The sources list several common indicators that many people might recognize in their lives. Feeling chronically stuck or stagnant, like you're spinning your wheels, not moving forward despite effort.
Yeah, that feeling of being stuck in mud.
Exactly. Feeling emotionally overwhelmed by life's circumstances a lot of the time. Repeating negative cycles in relationships, career, or personal habits, the same patterns showing up again and again.
Deja vu, but not in a good way.
Right. Lacking inspiration, motivation, or a sense of clear purpose. Feeling disconnected or numb. These can all point to sluggish or blocked energy flow somewhere in the system.
And it's not just about energy being stuck or too low. The sources also mention that some chakras can become overactive, which is also a sign of imbalance. It's not just about deficiency.
Yes, that's a crucial point the sources make. Balance is key. Excessive energy flow in one center can be just as disruptive as too little, often manifesting as imbalances in personality or behavior.
Like why?
An overactive solar plexus might lead to an inflated ego, arrogance, a need to dominate others, or aggressive outbursts of anger, too much fire. An overactive third eye could manifest as being disconnected from reality, living purely in theoretical or fantasy realms, spacing out or experiencing overwhelming, uncontrolled psychic phenomena that feel scary or confusing.
Ungrounded insights, maybe.
Possibly. An overactive sacral could lead to addictive behaviors related to pleasure-seeking or uncontrolled emotional reactivity, being completely overwhelmed by feelings.
So the goal isn't to just blast everything open as much as possible, but to find that harmonious middle ground, the right flow for each center.
Exactly. The key principle, consistently highlighted in the source material and ancient teachings, is balance and fluidity. The right amount of energy flowing through each center, integrated with the others, dynamic and responsive to life, without excessive surges or stagnant pools, finding that equilibrium.
Okay, we've explored the origins, understood each of the 7 centers, and delved into the crucial dynamics of energy flow and blockage. This is already much deeper than the usual pop culture version, but as we mentioned in the intro, the sources elevate the chakra system far beyond just energy healing or feeling a bit better. They present it as something truly grander.
They unequivocally describe it as a blueprint for enlightenment. The source material is adamant that the original and ultimate purpose of working with the chakras was not merely to achieve energetic balance for better health or well-being.
Oh, that's nice too.
Right, those can be beneficial side effects, absolutely. But the system is fundamentally designed as a sacred ladder or map for the soul's ascent, a vertical journey of conscious awakening.
A ladder that takes you from being anchored in the fundamental needs of physical survival all the way to boundless universal consciousness at the crown, step by step.
Precisely. The sources explain that each chakra corresponds not just to physical locations or emotional states, but to a distinct level of consciousness or a different frequency through which we perceive and interact with reality.
So working with the chakras is about consciously raising your vibrational frequency and expanding your awareness.
That's the core idea, yes.
So when we are operating primarily from the root chakra, our awareness is fundamentally tied to the physical, material world focused on survival, security, belonging to a tribe or family, basic needs, very tangible concerns.
Yes. Consciousness is anchored in the tangible, the instinctual.
Yeah.
As we consciously work with the energy and lessons of each center and ascend through the chakras, our awareness expands in significant ways. We move from a focus on personal desire and pleasure at the sacral,
To finding strength and autonomy in the world at the solar plexus.
from that personal power to connecting with universal love and compassion at the heart.
From expressing our individual truth at the throat to accessing deeper intuition and seeing beyond illusion at the third eye.
And finally, connecting to boundless, non-dual reality at the crown. It's a progressive expansion of perspective and capacity.
This profound internal ascent, this raising of consciousness through the centers, is often symbolized by a powerful energy described in these traditions, isn't it? The serpent power.
Yes, this is where the concept of Kundalini energy becomes central. In the yogic and tantric traditions documented in the sources, Kundalini is depicted as a dormant, potent spiritual energy, often symbolized as a coiled serpent sleeping at the base of the spine, right at the root chakra, Muladhara.
Coiled and sleeping, waiting to be awakened. And the awakening of Kundalini, what does that entail?
It's described as a powerful process where this dormant energy begins to awaken and rise up through the Sushumna Nadi, that central channel, passing through each of the chakras sequentially.
Like moving up the ladder.
Exactly. As it rises, it is said to burn through or dissolve energetic blockages, limiting beliefs, illusions, and karmic patterns held within each chakra. This is the process of purification and integration that allows consciousness to ascend.
So it's far more than just a metaphor for potential energy. It's seen as a real, transformative internal force that actively clears the path.
Absolutely. The sources describe it not always as a gentle unfolding, but often as a powerful, sometimes intense inner metamorphosis. As this energy rises through each center, the soul is compelled to confront and integrate the shadows, the unresolved pain, and the fundamental challenges associated with that specific level of consciousness and energy center.
You have to face what's stored there.
Yes. It's how the soul reclaims its inherent power and expands its awareness by meeting those challenges.
And the sources link specific challenging questions to each chakra, illustrating the nature of this transformative work, like tests at each gate.
Kind of, yes. These questions highlight the core lesson or trial embedded in each center. For example, as Kundalini energy reaches the solar plexus, the challenge inherent in that center asks essentially, who are you without your defenses? Who are you without your need for control or external validation? Who are you without fear?
Wow, deep questions.
It forces a confrontation with the ego's power structures, its need for security through control.
And at the heart, what's the question there?
The heart chakra poses the question, can you love beyond condition? Can you extend compassion and forgiveness, even when it's difficult, even to those who have hurt you, even to yourself? Can you dissolve the energetic boundaries that separate you from others?
Really testing the capacity for unconditional love.
Exactly. And the third eye...
What's the challenge for inner vision?
The third eye asks, can you see beyond appearances? Can you discern truth from illusion, both internally and externally? Can you trust your inner knowing even when it contradicts external reality or what everyone else believes?
Trusting your own sight.
Yes. These questions are designed to challenge your current level of consciousness and catalyze growth into the next level of awareness associated with that chakra.
And the ultimate goal of this intense, purifying ascent, when the Kundalini energy successfully reaches the crown chakra, what happens then?
The sources describe this as the dissolving of the illusion of separation. The sense of being a separate individual, distinct from everything else, begins to dissolve. It doesn't mean annihilation, but an expansion of identity.
So less me and more we or all.
Leading to an experience of pure consciousness, timelessness, and profound unity with the divine source, the universe, and all life. It's the experience of cosmic consciousness or enlightenment described in many mystical traditions, samadhi.
And the sources tie this specific process of ascent back to those cross-cultural parallels we discussed earlier, reinforcing that universal idea.
Yes, absolutely. Many mystical traditions, even without the specific chakra language from Sanskrit, describe a structured path of ascent through different internal states or centers towards divine union.
Like what?
The levels of the Kabbalistic tree of life, the journey through the Taoist microcosmic orbit circulating energy through body centers, the stages described in Christian mysticism like purification, illumination, and ultimate union, they all echo this fundamental structure of spiritual ascent through inner work and stages.
So again, the sources conclude that these systems are not fundamentally different paths, but potentially echoes, different languages describing the same core human journey towards greater awareness and unity, different maps of the same territory.
It certainly makes a strong case for the profound depth and universal relevance of the chakra system beyond any single cultural interpretation. It feels archetypal.
It really elevates the concept from a modern trend to an ancient, powerful framework for understanding reality and potential. But speaking of modern trends, the sources also explicitly address some common myths and misconceptions that have cropped up as this knowledge has spread and become more popularized, especially in the West.
Yes, they do. They acknowledge the widespread recognition the chakra system has gained, which is great in one way, but also the significant dilution and simplification that has often occurred, stripping away its transformative depth in favor of more superficial applications.
Right, the pop psychology version. So let's shine a light on some of those specific misconceptions, the sources challenge. First up, the idea that chakras are purely symbolic, just abstract concepts or metaphors, not real energetic phenomena.
The sources strongly counter this. They state, based on the experiences documented in the ancient texts and by practitioners throughout history, that those who work deeply with subtle energy perceive chakras as far more than symbols.
They feel them.
They're described as real, tangible, energetic vortices, dynamic centers of force that can be perceived and worked with directly through cultivated inner practices like deep meditation, specific breathwork, pranayama, and heightened conscious awareness, interoception. They exist in the subtle body as functionally real entities.
Not just diagrams on a page, but perceptible energy centers within you, part of your actual, albeit subtle, anatomy.
Precisely. They are part of your energetic anatomy.
Okay, another very common one. The belief that chakras can be quickly or easily fixed using external tools, things like crystals placed on the body, listening to specific sounds or frequencies, or receiving external energy work from someone else.
Right, the quick fix mentality.
Yeah.
The sources acknowledge that these tools can be supportive, acting as valuable aids in the process. Crystals or sounds might resonate with certain frequencies and offer temporary support or subtle shifts. Energy work can help clear surface static, but they vehemently emphasize that true, lasting chakra healing and activation requires inner work. It demands that the individual consciously face their fears, examine and dismantle limiting beliefs, process unresolved emotional trauma, and actively work to dissolve those energetic blockages from the inside out.
So while a crystal might resonate with a chakra's frequency, it won't do the difficult internal work of confronting and integrating deeply held childhood shame related to the solar plexus, for example. You still have to do that yourself.
The sources are quite explicit on this point. Relying solely on external tools without engaging in the necessary internal psychological and emotional work is seen as superficial and ultimately ineffective for true, deep transformation. Chanting a mantra is powerful, but it needs to be coupled with the willingness to look at what that mantra is meant to dissolve within you. The tool supports the inner process. It doesn't replace it.
That's a really important distinction. What about the idea that the goal of chakra work is to get all your chakras blasted wide open and keep them that way all the time? Like maximum energy flow constantly. That sounds exhausting and potentially dysregulating.
It does, doesn't it? And the sources concur completely. They clarify that chakras are not meant to be static or perpetually wide open. They function dynamically.
How so?
They naturally open and close, expand and contract as needed in response to life circumstances, internal states, and even for healthy self-protection. Think of the heart chakra. You don't want it wide open and vulnerable in every single situation.
Right. Sometimes you need boundaries.
Exactly. The healthy state is not forced, constant openness, but rather creating a state of overall energetic balance, fluidity, and conscious awareness so that the centers can function optimally and appropriately, responding intelligently to the environment and inner needs.
So they're meant to be responsive and adaptable, not just fixed in one state, like fully open.
Exactly. Fluidity and conscious regulation are key, not rigid openness.
Okay. And finally, the common misconception that spiritual awakening, often linked to chakra work and kundalini, is always a purely blissful, comfortable, or peaceful process, like floating on clouds.
Yeah, the spiritual bypass idea. The sources are quite grounded and direct here. They state that while moments of bliss, peace, and expansive consciousness are definitely part of the journey and important motivators, the path through the chakras, particularly the process of kundalini awakening and purification, is deeply transformative.
And transformation isn't always easy.
Exactly. Transformation is often uncomfortable. It involves confronting deeply held patterns, fears, and shadows, the very energetic blockages we discussed. This process can be challenging, disorienting, and even intense at times, pushing you to grow beyond your current limitations and comfort zones. It's about profound growth, not just pleasant feelings.
So the deeper truth, as summarized by the source material, is that the chakra system is fundamentally a map and method of initiation into higher consciousness, not just a gentle form of energy healing or self-improvement.
Absolutely. Each chakra is presented as holding a secret challenge, a trial of mastery that you must undertake to evolve your consciousness and release the limitations holding you back. It's a path of soul evolution.
And the sources issue a powerful reminder. External knowledge about the chakras, no matter how detailed, even listening to this deep dive, cannot replace the inner knowing gained from lived experience.
That's crucial. You have to walk the path yourself, engage with the energy directly, face the challenges within your own being. You cannot read a map and claim to have completed the journey or truly know the territory.
That's a crucial distinction. It demands personal engagement.
Yeah.
So with this deeper understanding in hand, how do we, according to these ancient sources, actually begin to walk this path? How do we start to work with and activate these centers in a meaningful, authentic way, not just the superficial stuff?
Well, the sources provide practical guidance, emphasizing that it begins with what they refer to as the first medicine.
The first medicine? Intriguing. Which is?
Awareness. Simple yet profound. Just bringing conscious, non-judgmental attention to your internal landscape, your thoughts as they arise, your emotions as they flow or get stuck, the subtle sensations in your physical body, especially in the regions traditionally associated with the chakras.
Just noticing.
Yeah.
How is that medicine? How does that do anything?
The sources explain that mere observation, simple presence, is itself a powerful act of reconnection and energy direction. Your conscious awareness acts like a light, or like energy itself, bringing vitality and potentially shifting the energetic frequency of the area it's directed towards.
So attention is energy.
In this view, yes. When you intentionally place your awareness at a specific chakra location, say, feeling into your chest area for the heart, even without doing anything else, you begin to engage with its energy. You're knocking on the door. It's the foundational step.
Okay, awareness first. And then, building on awareness, there are more active practices, like breathwork.
Breath is fundamental. It's described as the direct carrier of prana, the life force that nourishes and activates the chakras and nadis. Intentional, conscious breathing directed into a specific chakra region.
Like breathing deeply into your belly for the root or sacral, or into your chest for the heart.
Exactly. That kind of focused breathing can help release physical and energetic tightness held in those areas, awaken stagnant flow, and even help regulate the nervous system responses linked to those centers, like calming the fight or flight response associated with the solar plexus through deep belly breathing.
Using breath to soothe anxiety centered in the gut, which relates to the solar plexus. Makes sense.
Precisely. And the sources mention specific yogic breath practices known as pranayama, like alternate nostril breathing, which is called nadi shodhana, or various forms of breath retention, kumbhaka.
And what do those specific practices do?
They are specifically designed to balance the flow of prana in the Ida and Pingala nadis, the lunar and solar channels, thereby restoring harmony to the entire energetic system, including the chakras, which sit at their junction points. It's like tuning the whole system.
Okay, so targeted breath for balance.
Yeah.
And meditation, of course, must be key.
Chakra-focused meditation is a primary tool, yes. This involves placing your conscious awareness at the location of a specific chakra during meditation, visualizing its associated color vividly.
Like red for the root, orange for the sacral.
Right, and often mentally or verbally chanting its specific bija mantra.
The bija mantras, again, lam, vam, ram, etc. You mentioned they were seed sounds. Can you explain that a bit more? Why chant these specific sounds?
Okay, yes. The sources describe bija as meaning seed in Sanskrit. Bija mantras are considered the fundamental core seed sounds or vibrational essences of each chakra. They are like the sound signature of that energy center.
The energetic frequency expressed as sound.
Exactly. Chanting them, either aloud or internally, is believed to create a specific resonant vibration that directly awakens and purifies the energy of that particular chakra. It's like striking an energetic tuning fork for that center.
Ah, okay, so the sound vibration itself does the work.
The resonance helps to dissolve blockages associated with that chakra and activate its potential. Lam vibrates with the root's earthy stability. Vam with the sacral's watery flow. Ram with the solar plexus's fire, Yam with the heart's airiness, Ham with the throat's etheric space, and Om connecting the third eye and crown to universal vibration.
That makes the practice much clearer. It's using sound as a direct energetic tool, not just a random syllable.
Precisely. It's vibrational medicine, essentially.
Fascinating. And the sources also talk about activating chakras through movement and embodiment, right? It's not just about sitting still and meditating or chanting.
Crucially, yes, the work goes beyond stillness. Movement is presented as essential for circulating prana, preventing stagnation and releasing pent-up energy. Think about how good it feels to shake things out sometimes.
Definitely.
Practices like yoga asanas, postures, especially those targeting specific areas of the body related to the chakras, or flowing practices like qigong or tai chi, or even uninhibited ecstatic dance where you let the body move freely. These are excellent methods for activating the body's energy pathways, shaking loose stagnant vibrations, and increasing the dynamic flow through the chakras.
So it's movement with conscious intention and energetic awareness, not just exercise.
Precisely. The source even gives simple examples that anyone can incorporate. Walking barefoot on the earth with the specific intention to connect and ground the root chakra energy, feeling the earth beneath your feet.
Simple but powerful.
Or singing, humming, or speaking aloud confidently, maybe practicing affirmations to stimulate and open the throat chakra. Simple physical actions, done with awareness of the underlying energy you're engaging, can have a powerful impact.
Okay, awareness, breath, meditation with Biha mantras, movement. And then what sounds like perhaps the most challenging but most transformative aspect, emotional integration and shadow work.
Yes, the sources are very clear that this is often where the deepest, most necessary transformation occurs. As we discussed, blockages are often caused by unprocessed emotional trauma or limiting beliefs held in the body-mind system.
The stuff we avoid looking at.
Exactly. The sources state that practices like journaling to explore feelings and beliefs, working with a therapist or skilled healer who understands the mind-body connection, or engaging in conscious inner child work to address past wounds and unmet needs are legitimate and necessary spiritual tools within this framework. They aren't separate from the energetic work.
Because if a chakra holds the energetic residue of deep sadness or fear from the past, chanting alone won't clear it without addressing the root emotional cause, will it?
The sources emphasize this point repeatedly. You must be willing to compassionately face and integrate the unprocessed emotional layers held within the energetic body. This honest self-exploration and healing is what truly creates the space for energy to rise and flow freely, dissolving those deep energetic knots.
It requires courage.
It does. It's often messy, it's not always linear or pleasant, but it's essential for true activation and liberation, according to these texts. You can't bypass the emotional body.
Makes sense. And alongside these core practices, awareness, breath, meditation, movement, and emotional work, the sources mention supportive tools,
Right.
things that can help the process.
Yes, these are complementary supports that can enhance the process, but again, not replace the inner work. The sources mention using affirmations, positive statements designed to reprogram subconscious beliefs like, I am safe and secure for the root. I express my truth clearly and kindly for the throat. Using colors associated with the chakras, consciously maybe wearing a green shirt when focusing on the heart, or visualizing blue light at the throat. Working with specific crystals believed to resonate with certain chakra frequencies like amethyst for the crown or citrine for the solar plexus.
The crystal connection?
Employing sound healing techniques beyond chanting, like using tuning forks tuned to specific frequencies or listening to singing bowls whose vibrations can affect the subtle body. And using aromatherapy with essential oils linked to different centers like grounding scents like cedarwood for the root or uplifting scents like peppermint for the third eye.
So these are all ways to gently nudge the energy in the desired direction, supporting the deeper work.
Exactly. And those affirmations you mentioned, the sources describe them as, well, like vibrational codes or programming statements.
Programming statement.
Yeah. When spoken aloud consistently or held firmly in your mind with feeling, they are believed to send a specific frequency or instruction into your energetic field, helping to reprogram limiting patterns stored there and reinforce the desired energetic state of the chakra. It's about consciously directing your energy through intention and word.
Okay, so pulling this whole section on how-to together, it's clear that chakra balancing and activation, according to this ancient blueprint, is not a quick fix, not a one-time workshop, and it's not solely reliant on external aids like crystals or sounds.
The sources consistently stress that it is a daily relationship you cultivate with your own energy body. It's an ongoing conversation, a practice.
The conversation between your conscious self, your deeper soul, and the various energetic layers of your being.
Yes, it requires consistent attention, practice, and refinement, like tending a garden.
And it's okay if some days or during certain periods, certain chakras feel less open or even somewhat closed off. It's not about achieving perfection.
Yes, the sources acknowledge the dynamic nature of the system. Chakras might temporarily constrict or close for healthy self-protection in response to stress or challenging situations, and that's a natural function of the system's intelligence.
So don't beat yourself up if your heart feels closed after a difficult interaction.
Exactly. The goal isn't rigid, perpetual openness for all centers all the time. It's rather cultivating overall balance, fluidity in the energy flow, and the capacity to consciously work with your energy from a place of truth, awareness, and self-compassion. Adaptability is key.
Okay. So after all this work, the awareness, the breath, the chanting, the movement, the emotional deep dive, what is the described outcome? What happens when you start truly working with and activating your chakras according to this ancient, profound blueprint? What changes?
The sources describe the outcome in powerful terms. You don't become someone else, some idealized spiritual person. You become more fully yourself.
More you.
Yes. More clear, more vibrant, stronger, and more authentic in your essential nature. It's an unveiling of your true self, not a creation of something new or artificial.
And how does that state translate into your everyday life, moving through the world? Does life become magically easy?
Not necessarily magically easy, no. The sources state that this leads to moving through life with greater ease, certainly with more presence, and with inherent power and resilience. But not because external life suddenly becomes perfect and without challenges.
Right, challenges still happen.
Of course, but it's because your internal energy system is more coherent, resilient, and aligned. You have greater inner stability, more access to your own vital energy, and you're less likely to be thrown off balance by external events. You navigate challenges differently.
It sounds like a process of remembering and reclaiming something that was always within you, but perhaps dormant or obscured by life's experiences.
That is exactly how the sources frame it. The entire journey of chakra activation is presented as the journey of remembering who you truly are beneath the layers of conditioning, trauma, and limitation. It's about reclaiming that divine intelligence and life force that has always flowed through you, but perhaps was suppressed, distorted, or forgotten.
So the chakra system isn't just a mystical concept or a spiritual trend to follow. It's described as a living map, encoded within your very being, already inside you.
Yes, the sources emphasize this profound point. It's not external knowledge to be grafted onto you, but a wisdom already encoded in your energetic anatomy, waiting to be rediscovered and activated. It's like finding the user manual for your own inner operating system.
And each chakra along the spiritual spine, these aren't just points, they are.
Each one is described as a gateway. A gateway, yes, to healing past wounds and resolving imbalances, but also, and perhaps more importantly, a gateway to remembering your true self, your inherent power, and your unique purpose in this life. Each holds a key to a different aspect of your potential.
So this work isn't about escaping reality or chasing fleeting spiritual highs, which is sometimes a misconception of mystical paths, right? It's not about checking out.
The sources are very grounded in this. Activating and balancing your chakras isn't about checking out or leaving the physical world behind. Quite the opposite. It's about becoming more fully present in the world. Deeply rooted and grounded in your physical body, root chakra, allowing yourself to feel deeply and connect creatively, sacral, acting with authentic power and purpose, solar plexus, connecting with open-hearted compassion, heart, expressing your truth clearly, throat, seeing reality with insight and wisdom, third eye, while simultaneously remaining connected to the transcendent source, crown.
Wow. It's about being fully human and fully divine, integrated right here in this life.
That's the vision presented. Integration, not escape.
The result being, what does life look like then?
Living fully. Experiencing life with presence, feeling deeply without being overwhelmed, walking through the world with clarity, compassion, and authentic power, engaging with life from a place of inner alignment.
It really does paint a picture of the body as something far more significant than just a temporary physical container or a machine.
Absolutely. The sources consistently describe the physical body not just as a vehicle, but as a sacred vessel of light, intelligence, and divine energy. It is intrinsically part of the spiritual journey, not separate from it, not something to be transcended in a dismissive way.
Honoring the vessel.
Yes.
And this journey of working with your chakras isn't something that ends neatly with one practice or reaching a final destination where you're suddenly done and perfectly balanced forever.
No, the sources make it clear that the journey of alignment and awakening is ongoing. It doesn't end with a single moment of enlightenment, even if such moments occur. It truly begins now.
Now.
With your next conscious breath, your next intentional choice, your next act of bringing presence and awareness to your own inner energy. It's a moment-to-moment practice of living in alignment.
Every moment is an opportunity to listen to that complex, dynamic inner energy map, to check in.
And to endeavor to move in harmony with its wisdom, to make choices that support flow and balance rather than create more constriction.
So if listening to this exploration of the chakra system, guided by these ancient sources, has stirred something within you, if you feel a sense that something is waking up, maybe a resonance, a curiosity, a call to look deeper within yourself.
The sources encourage you, unequivocally, to follow that call. That inner nudge is important.
Because as our source material concludes with such power, it's a beautiful summation.
Chakras are not just centers of energy.
They are centers of awakening.
And here is the truly profound, provocative thought that the sources leave us with, something to sit with, something that encapsulates the potential of this ancient blueprint. When you awaken them, your chakras,
Yes.
you awaken the universe within.
Wow. Awaken the universe within. Think about the sheer scale of that possibility, not just waking yourself up in a limited personal sense, but through that inner work, potentially awakening the entire universe, the cosmos itself, as it exists inside you.
The microcosm reflecting the macrocosm.
What boundless potential could that awaken within your life, in your connection to everything? It's really something to contemplate. Stay rooted, stay radiant, and keep rising through your own inner landscape.
Indeed. Keep exploring the universe within.